KIO. My name is Cindy. This is Elijah, co-host. And don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Become a member, become a special friend. We do appreciate you taking the time to join us. We want to go right to and listen to Mike Johnson and see what he has to say in regards to this
No
shutdown.
coincidence that polling this week confirms that over 70% of the American people believe the Democratic Party is out of touch. And amazingly to us, still every day, they turn their backs on more and more hardworking American families to prolong their pain. And that is exactly what's being felt here. It is incredible to us that they've now voted 14 times between the House and Senate to reject the clean, simple funding bill that would simply reopen the government. 14 times they have thumbed their nose at the American people in spite of their pain that they themselves have acknowledged. And as we've explained here, the motivation behind that is very clear. And this is why the polling is indicating what it is. The people know the Democrats are responding to fear. It is their fear that the most radical far-left voices in their party that has made them decide to obey the demands of the far left and to shut down the entire government and thereby inflict all this pain on the people. And almost comically at this point, the Democrats are still out trying to convince you that this is somehow Republicans' fault. But the facts are the facts, and the American people can see that very clearly. They see the truth. We brought you a handy scorecard here so you can, follow the votes. I mean, this is very simple. The votes to pay the troops and federal workers and continue SNAP benefits and get air traffic controllers and Border Patrol agents paid. This is the vote tally. You see the dates here. The House did our work back on September 19th, and we voted, Republicans voted yes. Democrats voted no on all those things. And the Senate has now done it an additional 13 times. These are the votes. No one can say that this is in any way the fault of Republicans. We have a clean, simple bill, and everybody knows it. House and Senate Democrats are openly admitting that this is their shutdown. You have seen the highlight reel of all of them stumbling into admitting that. And yet they're also incoherently claiming that the shutdown is somehow on the fault of the other party. And the people aren't buying it. And that's why the polling continues to show that the approval of Republicans in Congress is rising with each passing day. And the Democrats, at the same time, Democrats in Congress have the lowest approval rating they have ever had since polling began, since recorded polling began on these metrics. And here's just an example yesterday. For example, CNN polling showed yesterday the approval of Republicans in Congress is up 8% since the shutdown began among independents. I mean, that's an important metric because people are paying attention. They understand what's happening and they see who is responsible. It's a really important thing to watch. Ronald Reagan used to remind us that you can always trust the American people, and we do. We trust their intelligence, and we trust their understanding of basic civics. In fact, we trust the American people's understanding of civics far more than the Democrats in this building right now. And a quick reminder of that is the people know that in the House of Representatives, you need a majority vote. You need 218 votes to pass legislation, to pass a clean, continuing resolution to fund the government. That's exactly what we did on September 19th. They also know that in the Senate, you have to have 60 votes to pass substantive legislation. And we've only got 53 Republican seats. That means we need, by the math, at least 7 Democrats to join us to reopen the government. Now, in other words, the Democrats are the only reason that the government is closed. And there is no other way to spin that, to make something else true about it. And of course, the Democrats know all that. We've seen their party leaders, and we've now made their phrases and their comments famous here every morning. Chuck Schumer with Catherine Clark in the House. They've openly admitted that they're using the pain of the American people as their leverage. Why? To show to their base that they're fighting, and they're counting on the American people not noticing all this. And that's the very reason why we have to come in here every morning and relay the simple truths. I mean, somebody handed me this as I was walking in here. Yesterday, according to the Media Research Center study, by a 2.5 to 1 margin, the Capitol Hill Press Corps has tweeted more about the House calendar during the shutdown than the negative consequences of the Democrat shutdown, than the troubles that we have, the hardships that are being experienced because of the troop pay and WIC funding and flights grounded and SNAP funding. You guys are writing more about the House calendar than the real pain that's being inflicted on the American people, and that's why we have to come in and relay the simple facts. Now, there's a misguided strategy that the Democrats are pursuing right now, and it reveals two important things that can't be glossed over. Number one, it shows they have no cards to play except to try to blame the other team, which is ridiculous, and it shows how little they think of the American people. They had a rally a couple weeks ago. They tried to portray President Trump as a king, and we pointed out, again, the obvious truth. If the president was a king, then the government would be open. He's been trying to do that. And low-income families would be getting the food assistance that they need by Saturday. Republicans cannot wave a wand and reopen the government on our own. We must have a handful of centrist Democrats in the Senate do the right thing. And any Democrat suggesting otherwise knows exactly what they're doing, and they insult the intelligence of the American people. And by the way, every reporter in this room when they do that. Unlike Democrats, Republicans have nothing to twist or spin. We are just simply here relaying the simple facts and the truth. And the American people are responding to that. And that's why the polling indicates that they trust us more than the other side, because we're the ones here telling you the truth. We have nothing to hide. They are trying to obscure the facts. And by the way, the biggest unions are beginning to say the same thing. On Monday, the largest union of federal workers, the American Federation of Government Employees, came out, as you saw, and publicly urged Democrats to join Republicans and pass the House's short-term funding bill. The union president said, quote, "A strong America requires a functioning government, one that pays its bills, honors its commitments, and treats its workforce with respect by paying them on time." Amen to that. Of course, we agree. But it wasn't just the AFGE. You had the same commentary, the same plea by the National Association of Air Traffic Controllers, the Coalition of Airline Pilots Associations, the NetJets Association of Shared Aircraft Pilots, the Allied Pilots Association, the Southwest Airlines Pilots Association, the leader of the Teamsters, and the New York Steamfitters Union. They're all coming out. These are the constituencies that the Democrats claim that they support, and that's why the unions came on side of the Republicans in the last election. They've had enough of this nonsense, and they've all called on Senate Democrats to end this shameful shutdown. And it is a shame. The Democrats need to be publicly prodded by their millions of hardworking Americans to just simply do the most basic function of their jobs. A rational person would read the pleas of the federal workers and conclude that it is time to end the charade and turn the lights back on. But the Democrats are not rational right now, and they deliberately ignored the plight of all these federal workers around the country. People are going to remember this, and they should. I want to quote to you a couple of senators over there on the Democrat side. Listen to this nonsense. Senator Mark Warner, the senior senator from Virginia, and this is noteworthy because Virginia is the state with the largest number of federal employees. He claims that federal workers want him to vote against reopening the government. He literally said, quote, "I think they want us to fight this." Fight what, Mark? What are you talking about? We have a clean CR. This is not a partisan dispute. It's ridiculous. Senator Tim Kaine is the junior senator from the same state of Virginia with the largest number of federal employees, and he said, quote, "I work very closely with them, and the AFGE would not want us to cut a deal." What the heck are you talking about, Senator? There is no deal here. We're not talking about a deal. We're talking about a clean CR that all of you voted for even as recently as this year. Here's my favorite one. This is the best quote. When asked about the AFGE statement from the big union, Senator Jeanine Shaheen said, quote, "I had a conversation with the president of AFGE earlier, right after the shutdown, and that was their position then." So let me just translate for you. Senator Shaheen spoke with the head of the largest federal employee labor union. The president of that union explained to her the harmful effects of a shutdown, and then Senator Shaheen went out and voted to close the government anyway, and continued to do that more than a dozen additional times. Senate Democrats knew the pain this would cause. They knew about the missed paychecks. They knew the uncertainty of making rent for so many people. They knew about the missed meals. They knew about delayed flights. They knew that our nuclear arsenal and our national defense would be negatively affected by this, and they did not care. They shut the government down anyway to appease the far-left voices of their base. And the Democrats have some soul-searching to do. Are they going to continue to do that? Are they going to run from the far left and do their bidding? Or are they going to do right by millions of federal workers and the American people who continue to show up to work daily without pay? Are they going to do right and reopen the government so that those people are taken care of instead of the Marxist far-left base in their party? That is the question. And we pray that Senate Democrats come to their senses before the situation becomes too dire. On Saturday, this gets very real. SNAP benefits will stop flowing to all those who need it. You're talking about tens of millions of Americans at risk of going hungry if the Senate Democrats can continue this gambit. Instead of taking a simple vote to fund the government, which Senate Democrats have now had more than a dozen opportunities to do, Democrat attorneys general are suing the federal government to try to compel SNAP benefits to flow despite the government being closed and despite the fact that there is no money to do that. Congress hasn't authorized that. The contingency fund for that was something they batted down when the Democrats decided to vote against the CR and shut the government. For Democrats, there's a much easier option on the table. Just go do your job and fully fund all these programs and all these categories of people by voting for the CR. That's it. You don't have to do anything for Republicans. Just do your job for your constituents. And until Democrats recognize the pain that's gone on for so long, Republicans will be in their districts helping their constituents clean up the mess that Democrats are making and help them make ends meet and help them find the assistance, the food assistance, and all these other things that they're going to have to rely upon. And joining us this morning to discuss the Democrats' shutdown impacts on our national defense and on foreign affairs is our great chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and a decorated veteran of the U.S. Army, our good friend, Chairman Brian Mast. Brian?
Thanks, Speaker. I think everything going on, it really puts an exclamation point on the fact that we have the greatest population anywhere across the globe. I do want to start just by saying thank you to all of our workers. We have workers whose lives are being very literally affected, and they're still coming to work every day. Those are really big, amazing people. That's our American workforce. So I just want to start by saying thank you to them, all of our TSA workers, all of our air traffic controllers, our ICE, our CBP, our State Department people that I deal with, and to put a point, maybe moving to State Department because that's what I deal with the most, about the very serious stakes of what is going on right now. Not just with people's lives and them not being able to pay their bills, but with what's going on across the globe. To juxtapose these positions, we have President Trump in Asia right now, very literally trying to make sure that the United States of America is not cut off from rare earth minerals or other things, which is what China is literally trying to do. That's why there was a threat of another 100% tariff, because China was sending around letters saying, all you neighboring countries don't sell to America. So the president is abroad trying to protect our homeland. And we have Democrats here at home doing everything that they can to weaken our homeland. That's a difference of values. And the stakes of those values is the future of the greatest country on the face of this earth. We should pray that our adversaries would be stupid enough to say they're going to prioritize funding feminism in Africa over the food stamps of their own people. They're not that stupid, but apparently Hakeem Jeffries is, and that's a real problem for all of us here. I was on the phone with an ambassador this morning, I'm not going to say where, but we have requests for people to leave embassies abroad because of very real threats that are going on. The people in that embassy are right now trying to figure out if they have cash funding to get fuel for vehicles or to have diesel to put in their generators because they don't have reliable electricity in the places that they're in. Those are the real world consequences. While they're also worrying about their paycheck isn't coming in, can their family back home buy groceries, pay their bill for student loans, pay for the fuel to get their kids to school, or the tuition at their children's school, or all the other things that they have to worry about while they're worrying about can they even get out of country. So those are the difference of values. I guess I would close it by saying this. We need 5 Democrat senators to pull their heads out of their asses and go work for the United States of America.
Thank you, Chairman Mast. Thank you for your service to our country and for keeping the focus where it needs to be on making sure America stays strong in the midst of turbulent times. And you know, what's so sad about this shutdown is that we don't need to be in these turbulent times. It was a self-imposed wound that Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have imposed on the country. And if you look over this last month of the shutdown, you've seen Democrats literally playing a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde game with the American people. On one hand, they'll try to say, it's not us, it's the Republicans. Gee whiz, as the speaker talked about, oh, they control the House, Senate, and White House, when they know that they are the ones that are shutting the government down. And then on the other hand, Mr. Jekyll's out there saying that they know that they're causing pain on the American people. They admit that there is suffering, but they're doing it for leverage. So you can't have it both ways, Chuck Schumer. You can't wake up one day and say you're going to try to blame it on the Republicans, and then on the next day, you're trying to say that, gee whiz, we know that we're causing these problems. They're admitting they're causing suffering on people, but they're doing it for leverage. And they can't even explain what that leverage is, because they just need to show their radical base that they're having a fight with Donald Trump. It's all it's been about from the beginning. You really want to know who's calling the shots in the Democrat Party? You saw it on the stage this past weekend. Bernie and AOC on the stage with the new leader of the Democrat Party, Mamdani. Maybe Chuck Schumer's waiting for Mamdani to let him know when he can open the government back up again. But families can't wait, because the real suffering is going to begin. It's already been happening, but it really hits home this weekend when SNAP benefits run out. And they know that. But I'm going to go through some of the lies, the myths, the things that they say when they know better. Chuck Schumer just yesterday said, quote, Republicans are in charge of the White House, the Senate, and the House, but they're refusing to do their job. Now, Chuck Schumer's been in Congress since the 1980s. And he knows that every day he's been there, there's been a requirement that you need not 51, not a majority like we need in the House. He was in the House where you did need a majority, and then he went over to the Senate where it's always been a requirement that you need a supermajority. And in fact, when they changed the rules, it's not a standard or a custom, it's an actual Senate rule that you need 60 votes. The rule used to be higher. And in 1975, many of you might have thought Chuck Schumer voted for that rule. He came in just a few years after. In 1975 is when they lowered the threshold to 60 votes. It used to actually be a higher standard in the rules. And so every day Chuck Schumer's been in Congress, it always took more than a simple majority, in fact, 60 votes to pass these kinds of bills through the Senate. And he knows that. So you'd ask, well, why is he trying to lie and mislead the American people? When he makes a statement like that, he knows he's trying to mislead the American people. And yet on other days, he does admit he knows he's causing suffering, but he's doing it for leverage. And so this game back and forth is what the American people are sick and tired of. Hakeem Jeffries, quote, we didn't view the current bill as anything other than a partisan Republican spending bill. He knows good and well that it was a clean CR. If Democrats still to this day don't know the difference between a clean CR and partisan bills, did they stop reading the bills? Because they used to vote for these bills. Just since 2017, go look at the facts. Speaker likes talking about the facts. Facts are important here. Since 2017, 30 different CRs, 30 times CRs have moved to keep the government open. And do you know, 29 of the previous times Chuck Schumer's voted yes. 29. This 30th time is the only time Chuck Schumer has voted no. And of course you'd say, well, then what's changed if he's voted? 29 out of 29 times before this, he voted for clean CRs. What's changed? This is a clean CR. What's changed is the Democrat Party has changed. Mamdani is now running the party. That party has changed But the American people still have the same needs. The American people, again, the clean CR doesn't solve our differences. We still have big differences that we need to go negotiate, but let's just do it while the lights are on without the American people being held hostage. And of course, the final myth that's been out there for the beginning of this whole shutdown that we've debunked many times, that it's, quote, a total effing lie. That was Chuck Schumer's word. I think he actually used the word itself. That Democrats support free taxpayer-funded health care, free legals. That was Schumer saying that. And then, of course, when you read his alternative bill, his list of hostage demands, the $1.5 trillion spending bill, it includes in it a provision that repeals the verification we put in that says illegals can't get free health care. And CBO, not us, CBO said that would cost $200 billion in taxpayer health care benefits going to illegals. They know that. Of course they know it. And so why would they want to try to mislead the American people by over and over again making those statements? So here you can see it. Time and time again, the SNAP benefits comment the speaker talked about. They were warned in early October that 42 million people could be at risk in just weeks of losing their SNAP benefits if they didn't open the government. They knew that, and they want to play this game of chicken, this Jekyll and Hyde, one day trying to blame everybody but themselves, and then the other day taking ownership and admitting they're causing suffering, but they want to do it for leverage. You can't have it both ways. And more importantly, the American people are feeling the suffering. And this weekend, that suffering gets worse. And we have voted over and over again to prevent the suffering. It's not necessary. It shouldn't happen. And there's a way to avoid it. All they need to do is today, just 5 Senate Democrats need to get courage and say, we're not going to take our orders from Mondami or whoever else it is that are calling the shots over there. We're going to do the right thing and open this government back up so we can get into that negotiation over all of our differences, which are many. But just don't hold the American people hostage while that goes on. That'll bring up our whip. Come on.
The Democrats have no leader, no vision, no message. And nothing proves it more than the chaos they have caused with their needless government shutdown. We are now 29 days into this mess, and the Democrats have contradicted themselves every turn with no exit strategy in sight. They try to make their shutdown fight about health care, while simultaneously demanding that we cut $50 billion in rural health care and give taxpayer-funded health care to illegal aliens. Not to mention the Americans who are suffering right now because critical health care services have been put on pause due to the Democrats' shutdown charade. On the issue of SNAP, Democrats are bending over backward to oppose Trump, using taxpayer dollars to fund frivolous lawsuits. Meanwhile, they are the ones causing people to lose their SNAP benefits by refusing to reopen the government. Remember, all of this could have been solved in a matter of 5 minutes by 5 Senate Democrats if they would do the reasonable and right thing by supporting our clean CR. The same CR that they supported just 6 months ago, and as we've said over and over, that they have passed 13 times under the Biden administration. But instead, they'd rather run in circles, tripping over their own feet in the process and hanging their constituents out to dry. Why? In order to attain political leverage and score points with the radical Mamdani and Omar Fata, supporting that, by the way, for those of you that don't know, is the Mamdani of the Midwest, Omar Fata, supporting that wing of their party. Take it from the party who essentially wrote the government shutdown playbook. It doesn't work. Shutdowns achieve nothing but hurt everyone. So enough with the political games. Pass our clean CR and let's reopen the government for the people that you were elected to serve.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good to see you again. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. House Republicans did our job. Senate Democrats didn't. It's that simple. More than 1 month ago, under the leadership of Speaker Mike Johnson, the House passed responsible legislation to keep our government, your government, open. Meanwhile, Senate Democrats voted again and again to keep it shut down. So before anyone throws around cheap insults like one Democrat member did on social media this week, and I'll just read it. Lazy Mike Johnson has made himself irrelevant and pointless. You know, I always find that funny. When you can't beat us on the issues, what do children do? They personalize it. And that's exactly what this member is doing. He can't beat us on the issues. So he wants to attack our leader, who has done a remarkable job, and personalize it. We're not in 6th grade anymore. But maybe for some people they are in 6th grade. But let's remember the facts. Republicans acted. The Democrats stalled. Mike Johnson has shown leadership, discipline, and focus. And what's lazy? I'll share with you what's lazy, is Democrats refusing to do their job and blaming everyone else for the problems in which they created. Because what Democrats are doing is wrong. And Americans, real Americans, hardworking Americans, are getting hurt. I, for one, have had it. And I don't think I'm the only one out there. On Sunday, a Democrat House member admitted to the Wall Street Journal that his party is being pushed by far-left groups. He said the quiet part out loud, everybody. He said what we've been saying forever. He said Democrats were lying to the American people about the reason behind the shutdown. Well, that's a shock, right? It isn't for health care. It isn't for health care, because if it was about health care, they wouldn't have stripped the $50 billion rural health care fund. I mean, come on, Democrats, get your story straight. At least get a good story that you can spin to the American people, but you can't even keep your story straight. Listen, what the speaker said, Ronald Reagan was right. Trust the American people. And you know what? I'll say it again. When the facts aren't on your side, you have to personalize it and you have to lie. But the question right now is, at what point is the pain of the Americans going to outweigh the radical cries of their base? It wasn't when our troops almost didn't get paid. It wasn't when moms and infants were at risk of losing the food off their table. It wasn't when flights across the nation got canceled because air traffic controllers and TSA agents didn't get paid. No. When that happened, Democrats said, every day gets better for them. Really? Maybe that's because they're getting paid while the people who they represent are not. That's what they said. They said pain for the American people was their best leverage. They said maybe it was uncomfortable, but it was worth it to them. Really? Think about that. Let that settle in. Let that just sit for a minute. So now I ask, will it be enough pain this weekend when 42 million Americans lose access to food on their table? Will it be enough when 2 million Americans miss a paycheck? What Democrats are doing right now is absolutely cruel, but it's also dangerous. And I think Chairman Mast spoke very well on this issue, but let's build on that. When our skies aren't staffed, when our borders aren't secure, and when our troops are at risk of missing a paycheck, that is not a political strategy. That is a national security threat. Enough is enough. Americans do not want to be used as leverage. And they don't want to be used as leverage for another $1 trillion of wasteful spending. They work way too hard for their paychecks. They want relief, they want leadership, and they want results. Democrats, please, I implore you, do what's right. Democrats, do what's right. End the shutdown. End the suffering for the American people. Stop, as you say, leveraging the pain. Vote for the Clean CR funding bill and let America move forward. Thank you.
All right, question? Monty, go ahead.
You expressed to so many Americans, like, how do you justify the administration giving this big, massive bailout to Argentina, as well as calling for an increase in beef imports from Argentina?
Look, we give foreign policy, the execution of foreign policy to the executive branch, and that's what the president is doing right now. There's lots of nuances about that. He's involved in negotiating trade agreements around the country to the great success and benefit of the American people right now. Dozens of them being worked out. He's overseas right now doing the same thing. And what he accomplished in Japan is a remarkable thing for the American people. And by the way, they've agreed to invest $550 billion into America, and that's good for everyone. So I can't get into the nuances of every single trade agreement with every country around the world, but we're going to trust the president to do what he's doing. He's had a remarkable track record of success for the American people, and nobody in this room can refute it. So I'm going to leave it right there. Chad, let's talk about the government shutdown. It's the main important thing right here. Chad, go ahead.
Can you talk about some of the members you talk about some of the members of your conference who have expressed concern about the House being out, who are saying that this has gone on too long, we need maybe another CR or take another report or do something on healthcare. Can you talk about what that is like and some of the things that you're hearing from your members who are saying, this is really going on?
Well, you all know what I'm hearing from my members because our calls are leaked every week, and we had a conference call with almost everyone yesterday. By our count, there's about 3 to 4 members of the House Republican Conference who have only mildly questioned working in the districts as opposed to being here on the floor. And we talked through that in as much detail as we can on a call that I know is being printed on the front page of all the papers the next morning. But I can tell you that 99% of all the Republicans in the Senate and the House heartily agree with what we are doing. They understand the most important thing and the most important function and the basic and most simple thing that government must do is keep its operation going for the people. That is the first job of Congress. And when we can't do that, everything is paralyzed. And so we have made that the number one emphasis. We need the Senate Democrats to do what they have always done in the past. Don't make me tell you all the facts again. 13 times during the Biden administration alone, they voted on CRs to keep the government going. They know the pain they're inflicting. They do not. So it's painful for them, for us to get up here every single day and relate again the simple truths. We have to do that. The repetition is what makes the truth saturate, because most of the mainstream media is giving us headwinds. They're pushing back, as I've just demonstrated from you from the results. The research proves what we know intuitively, that the mainstream media, most of the legacy media, is parroting the talking points to their side. You are not asking Chuck Schumer the hard questions. You're not asking Hakeem Jeffries the hard questions. Not enough of them. They're hiding. And they think that they can appease the radical base because they're more afraid of the voices of the far left corner of their party than they are everybody else. And I think there's going to be a big price to pay for that in the future. Yes, sir. Right here.
Religion News Service has tracked 5 different instances in the last few weeks.
Hi everyone. It's amazing. Like we're watching and what the Mike Johnson has to say and a lot of the other Republicans, political leaders. But what we really need to focus on is what both sides are saying. That's why I've been trying to show what the Democratic leaders are saying, Hakeem Jeffries, Schumer, as well as Mike Johnson and Trump's administration. Because at the end of the day, Americans want the government to be reopened. That's what we're looking for. And that's what we demand as citizens. So I don't care, and I'm not into the blame game. I don't care who is at fault. They are elected by the American people, regardless of whoever we vote for, whichever party, to do their job. Their job is to come together and hey, you guys, sorry about that. We lost the internet. I don't know what had happened, but oh well.
Some people.
Huh?
Lost some people.
We lost like 500 people, but it's okay because it went down. I'm surprised there was still people left on. See if you can do something on the laptop. But anyway, you guys, I don't know what your thoughts are. Let's see if our poll is still up. So the poll was, who is to blame for the government shutdown? And it looks like we said Republicans are 51% and Democrats are 49%. So this poll was taken. Let's see how many people actually voted. This was like, let's see, was like 600, I think like 624 people voted in this poll thus far. So it looks like people are saying that, in spite of, I guess, what Republicans are saying, people are feeling like it's the Democrats that are the Republicans that are responsible for the shutdown. And if someone that voted and said it's Republicans, why do you say it's the Republicans that are at fault that we're going through this dilemma as far as the government being shut down? So let me see if someone says something and I will read it, because I have my own opinion, but I want to hear from you guys. I want your opinion. Why did you say that it's the Republicans are the reason for the government shutdown? Healthcare. Okay, that's all that matters. Your leaders you vote for are failing you. Okay, is why do you think? Okay, why do you think that the GOP is now using SNAP for leverage? They know that they are in charge. Yeah, they're trying to make iPhones in America. Trump is trying to help make more jobs in America and money. MAGA. Oh, okay, we're not going to spam. Come on, or I'll have to boot you out. So, well, okay, so the majority of the people voted and said that they believe that it's because of, don't do that, Ty. Don't spam the chat, because you know you're not going to last like that. Don't do that. Nobody's here for that. Your point was taken the first time you made your point. You don't have to say it over and over again. It doesn't make your point any more valid.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I was saying, so as the Democrats, okay, Pete, why do you say that it's the Democrats' fault? So I like to see someone that voted and said that it was the Democrats' fault. Why do you feel that it's the Democrats' fault? So I want you to say something substantial for
Back your claim.
state your claim to make your point. They are providing.
Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of him because he's still spamming.
Okay, yeah, remove him forever.
Yeah.
Done with him. Okay, can you read that?
Yeah. Let me read it.
Yeah.
He said it takes 60 votes. Is what's called the filibuster. Filibuster. We have 52 votes already are Republicans and only 1 votes that are needed to extend the benefits. They pretend it will be lost when it extends it.
Okay. So, and the healthcare and economy, people are hurting. Trump doesn't care about all the what? I can't see.
All Americans.
All Americans.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's true.
Okay. I don't know. How's it going to look up? Okay, so that's what's going on now. See,
Okay,
your
I
sentiments, okay, you can
understand.
put it back on. Your sentiments is the same way how they're fighting. See, both sides. Like everybody has their point of who they are blaming and who they feel as though is responsible. So and that's why we got to communicate, and that's why we have to listen to both sides, because every Republican believes what they are saying is right, and every Democrat believes what they are saying is right. But finger pointing is not working for neither party. It's not working. So at this point, we need for the Republicans to come back to Congress, have a seat at the table, and work this out, because a month is too long. 29 days, a month is too long, or 29 days to have the government shut down, especially that people have lost jobs. People, and there are no jobs to replace them thus far. And since this shutdown, what was it, 4,000 more people have lost jobs. So the unemployment rate is going up, and people need not only food stamps or the SNAP benefits, they need a government that's working for them. And that's all of them. Whether it's Democrats or Republicans, they are expected to work, because we're all Americans. They are expected to work for all Americans at the end of the day. And not one person, if we can take care of the rest of the world, hear me. If we can take care of the rest of the world, we're supposed to take care of our own. Argentina needed 40 or 50 billion dollars to bail them out. We should be taking care of our own. Ukraine needed 350 billion dollars to fight against Putin and Russia. We should be taking care of our own. There is no way in the world that America should be making world news. This is not just news here in the United States. We should not be making world news that our citizens, 42 million people, as of November the 1st, might go without food because they're not getting their SNAP benefits. And it's not because they don't work, because it's working poor. The majority of the people that receive assistance from the government are children, vets who fought for us, disabled, seniors, and the working poor, and maybe your college students. They need assistance until they can get themselves together. People are in between jobs and they need assistance. For whatever the reason is, that's what the government is supposed to use our taxpayer dollars for, to help Americans. But it seems like we give it freely to the world, regardless of administration. Regardless of administration, because Biden did the same thing. We take care of everyone else except for our own house. We try to tell the rest of the world what they should do and how they should take care of their citizens. But when it comes to us, then there's a problem. You know, so we have issues. So we have to do a lot better as Americans being one nation under God. That's a fact. I don't want to hear it if I was in that situation and people pointing the fingers and saying who fault it is. That's not helping me. What's helping me is you resolving it. What's helping me that I don't have to go to work for a month and I'm not getting paid and I don't have any gas money or I don't have lunch money, but my boss can still write me up because I didn't show up for work. That's what happens to federal workers. The people who can't come because of their financial status, their bosses can write them up. They can be disciplined for not showing up. Mind you, they don't have lunch money, they don't have gas money, they don't have dinner money, they don't have any money because most Americans live from paycheck to paycheck. So you're asked them for 2 pay cycles to go without any income. Without any income. But you require them to show up for work. So we have to do better as Americans for Americans. And so right now, it's like, who's winning? I don't see who's winning by what's going on. Who's winning in this? Someone has to tell me who's winning. You know, it's really messed up. Because we don't win like this. We're losing like this when we don't take care of our own. What do we look like to the rest of the world when we're supposed to be the United States of America, the best country in the world, the country that provides for the world freedoms and so forth. And our citizens are being put through it no matter what administration is in office. Because we're not going to, just act like things are happening, aren't going on. And then if we do open up the government and the Democrats do concede, then what's going to happen to health care? What's going to happen to the health care? Can someone in the chat tell me if the Democrats do sign the bill, what's going to happen to health care? Are they lying about that your premiums are going to skyrocket? Are they lying about that millions of people, what is it, 22 million? How many ever millions of people are going to be kicked off of health care? Are they lying about hospitals are going to be closed? Are they lying about nursing homes are going to be closed? Are they lying that tens of thousands of people a year are going to be losing their lives because they don't have health care? Are they lying about the repercussions?
Cool Kids TV, the reason why most Americans have jobs that they have is because of the rich. They're the ones who own the major companies.
So there's a lot that's going on that needs to be addressed. And it needs to be for the benefit of the American people. This is not about party. I'm about America first. This is about doing what's right.
My question is, why did
Go ahead.
Trump leave the country when the government shut down right now?
Yes, why don't you stay in there? You're young.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody older, whatever, they can answer that question for you.
I don't understand what Trump has been doing recently, and I haven't been in agreement of it. I don't think this is the time to leave the country. I think this is when he should be here to get the government back,
Open.
Yeah, open. So, I don't know. He's been doing a lot of strange things lately that I can't agree with. Tell Chuck Schumer.
And I think people who are hungry, people need health care. If you tell them about the deficit, they don't want to hear it. Americans, because we help so many people, well, that means we need to have the rest of the world to come and help Americans, just like we have helped them in their dire need. They need to come and help Americans because we pay our tax dollars and our monies are supposed to be used for when we do need it, or when we are unemployed, or when we do need health care. And when it's not available for us, then it's a problem, Houston. So if the government doesn't open back up and people aren't able to feed their kids, you know what's going to happen? Chaos. We already got National Guards planted in different states. And when people get desperate, people do desperate things. So if we don't open back up and the Democrats do not cave in, then we're going to have people robbing stores to feed their children. Crimes, people who aren't criminals are going to commit crimes. And now they're going to be locked up. Their kids are going to be displaced. So, and we already got the National Guard. So the National Guards, our prisons need to be filled because that's big business. So you're going to have American citizens that are going to be arrested because they're going to be made to become criminals, because when they might last for a few days not eating, but how long they're going to watch their kids not eating? They're gonna start stealing.
Yeah, Carrington said the truth. They said that time for everyone to come together and pray. The creator of the world is closer than we think.
2019.
Yeah. Like Pastor Phillips says.
What my shirt say in the back?
It says preach the word.
Preach the word. That's what you do. Preach the word. We got to see God's face. We got to pray to God, because men are fallible. And you can't depend on man. We see what's going on. You can't depend on neither party, because sometimes the Democrats do things okay, and sometimes the Republicans do things okay. But at the end of the day, you got to see God's face. And you got to pray for this nation. That's what we've been doing. Like, y'all haven't seen us. We've been praying. We've been going to prayer. We've been going to different states for prayer, to pray for this country.
Yeah.
And you have to. Because prayer is the only thing that changes things. Because the people that have been in office, everybody have good intentions initially, but then the greed sets in. And once greed sets in, then they forget about the people. And the people, they have us fighting each other and fighting against each other when we live in the same neighborhoods. So we're all affected by the same policies. At the end of the day, we're all affected, regardless who you voted for. My congressman is Democrat. He still got to represent me. They have to still fight for us, regardless of party. We can't separate that. And that's why we have to pray.
Cool.
And you have to depend on God.
Cool Kid TV, when you say immigrants, we're not talking about immigrants that are actually like legal residents of this country. We're talking about people that or as they say, newcomers that are illegally
Illegally
here.
have entered the country
So-
in the last 4 years.
So, but do you know how much that the people that aren't from this country costed the American people, and how much Ukraine has,
Billions.
how much Ukraine that we gave to them, how much they costed the American people? They're the ones that's taking all the money, not the rich. It looks like you got something against like rich people. Rich people help this economy strive and gives people jobs. Like look at Walmart. Like the owners of Walmart is why so many people have jobs from Walmart and Target and these fast food companies and different stores like that, etc. You know, is why people out here have a job, and some people have even really good incomes working for like the post office. There's a rich person that owns the post office. Working for as a businessman, you own the company and you give people jobs there. So it's like I think you got something against rich people, but they actually really help this economy and this country thrive. You know, and your president is a billionaire. That's at that end. So.
All right. Well, you
You
okay?
heard me?
Yeah, I heard you. I was
And
listening
your
to you.
president is a billionaire.
Yeah, but you know what? They're going to be all right. Everyone in Congress is going to be all right. They already have jobs. They have health care. They have not missed a paycheck. They're multimillionaires. And they don't understand when they go home to their children's not looking at them talking about what's for dinner or what we're going to eat, and there's nothing in the refrigerator. That's the brink of what we're heading to. That people are going to go to their refrigerators and their cupboards, and there's not going to be any food in there. And that's why the pantries, if y'all can get to the pantries or help your churches, hopefully they're setting something up because people are going to need help. At the end of the day, they're going to need help. And people are not going to be able to rely on the federal government. They're going to have to rely on each other. If you have a neighbor, if you have someone that look like they're in need or look like they're suffering from food insecurities or you see stress on them, ask them, do they need help? You know, go shopping for them. Buy them food. If you have, food in your cupboards that's great, that's not old and all of that, share it. Share it. 42 million people, that's a lot of people. And then we might leave one crisis to another. Because then the if they do go along and there's no compromise with the shutdown between the Republicans and the Democrats, the next crisis is going people are going to lose health care, which they were promised not to lose. People are going to lose. So what's the trade-off? So then the next thing, they're not going to have Obamacare or better known as Affordable Care Act. So all those people are then not going to have the support of having the health care. And people who do have health care are going to go through higher premium rates which might kick them off of their health care. So we don't want that.
Well,
we don't want astronomical costs for our health care.
To what Roma said, Roma Rose, like you have to first know if that video is true, because some people out here are trying to push an agenda. You know, they show you different images of the people, quote unquote, that's all on the food stamps.
Oh yeah, they got AI and all that.
But they don't show you what the majority of people on food stamps look like. You know, because they said that the women in videos complaining about food stamps have their hair and nails done. Why do they have money for that stuff and not for food?
You know what? It's just so amazing that the media is diabolical. And that's why I'm glad that we have social media now. And you have content creators, and we don't have to be relying on just one source of news, which is our mainstream, media. That we can go on and we have boots on the ground and we can find out what's really going on. And now they even have the AI images to also give the impression that a certain demographic of people collect food stamps, when in reality, the majority of people that's on SNAP are white people. And the majority are in red states, but they're not going to ever show you that picture because the media wants you to believe that it's a black issue. It's a Hispanic issue. When 37% of the people that receive SNAPs are white, 26% are black, 16% are Hispanics, and so forth. You know, but they're not going to show you that. They're going to show you some crazy looking black person with, you say, nails and all of this. That's the face, but they're not going to show you the real faces. But I can go online and I can show you what's really going on, and I can let you hear the perspective from people who are white that's being affected and are concerned about their futures, which they ought to be. Because it's not just one ethnicity. All of us are being affected. And that's what people need to know. But we're not leading the way. See, as long as they keep showing you that, oh, well, they're going to be hurt, even though I might be hurt, but the black people be hurt worse. We're survivors. We don't get anything as it is, so it's not bothering black people
Look at the idea.
at that level.
Look at the idea they have in their head. They said the largest demographic of food stamp recipients are Walmart employees. Because they paint this image.
But it's okay. But the numbers don't lie. The truth don't lie. You can go online and you can fact check everything. You can fact check the diagram. Every news program has been putting it up. All of them have been showing what's going on. You can fact check everything. Nobody's trying to persuade you. Nobody's trying to disagree with you. Nobody is saying, you could believe whatever you want to believe, but the truth is the truth. And that's why this is called Speak the Truth 2.0. This is not called Go Along to Get Along. That's not the name of this show. This show is called Speak the Truth 2.0. And people need to understand that it's better for us to fight each other than to hold the people that's at leadership accountable for the dilemma that we're going through. So they prefer us going at it, defending our base, defending what they say and their virtues, while they're not out here having to strive. And the reason why I do what I am doing is not because it's affecting me at all. But I care about what happens to other people, which we all choose, especially if you say you're a Christian. Don't come in here and say you're a Christian and you have biases and you're racist and you discriminate and all these other things, because God created the human race. And you're going to give an account. You can't go to heaven, well, oh, God, well, they were Indian. And God's going to look at you. You said, what? Well, you're not going to like heaven then. Because I have all ethnicities in heaven. I created everyone in my image. I created man in my image.
Well, to collate, like, our reply to what you said, that neither party cares about us, is pretty much what you said. I mean, you could say that, but I feel like Trump in his last term really cared about the American people.
Go ahead.
This term, I haven't felt the same from what he's been doing or the energy, but I wouldn't say that for all politicians, because, for example, JFK, who's probably like the best president of all time, he really cared about Americans no matter what race or religion or skin color you were. So yeah, I wouldn't agree with that, but I get what point you're trying to make. But you just have to really pay attention to what people say and what they do. More of what they do rather than what they say is what you have to do. But, Trump, his administration just started, hoping that he improves. I stopped wearing my Trump hat on these streams because I haven't been a fan of what he's been doing. It'll be kind of hypocritical of me to wear that while not being a fan of what he's doing. But yeah, so we'll see how this administration goes. I think it can at least be a little bit better than Joe Biden. I mean, that dude was like the worst president of all time with Kamala, Bordazar. And we'll see, we'll see.
Yeah, what do you think about the party has changed? What caused the party to change? That's going to be the next show, because we probably got to come back up to get our viewership up. When it goes down like this, they're not sending the
I think
the subscribers
the
here.
people in his ear this time, like Stephen Miller, and Judge Jeannie and Elon. I think it was the different people in his ear this time that weren't good influences.
Yeah, because he went from being more about the people to more about the race of people. It kind of shifted to the race of people.
Yeah.
Who we're going to serve and who we're going to attack.
Talking about going after children and stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. But anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. We're going to come back on. I want to show Trump, but I have to, we lost connection, and the majority of the people we lost them while we were live. So we had to wait to reconnect, and that's why it is where it is. But we want people to hear what we have to say. So we're going to have to come out of this. We're going to come back on live probably the next couple of hours, whatever. We're probably going to do 2 more lives today. So look for us. So don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. And we want people to hear the conversations, to have the conversations. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear all perspectives. We are not, biased about, in this channel. We're not biased. We want to make sure that everyone has an ear, everyone has a voice, and we can agree to disagree. We do not have to go along with everything everyone says. No one does. And we want you to have those freedoms as long as you're being respectful, towards one another. But that's what America's about, freedom of speech.
And towards us.
And of course, towards us. You ain't gonna last long, respectful towards us.
So I'm probably about to get rid of them, what they said.
What?
No, they said something against us.
I like that. I like that. I think that if you're watching us, then you need to fill out a job application because we good over here. We're real good. Because our provider, like I said, come from God. We don't lack any good thing. We live in a single home. We drive luxury cars. We don't lack anything. We don't suffer from food insecurities. We have more than enough. Matter of fact, we could feed a whole nother family with the food that we always have in this house. We have more. We have it spilling over. But we want everyone to be blessed because we're blessed to be a blessing. So we don't want God, he doesn't have to do what he does for us. We are not special.
Yeah.
It's nothing we could go to God and say, God, we deserve this, we deserve that, we fed the poor, we go to church every Sunday. No, he'll say, I never knew you. He doesn't go by that. He goes by your relationship with him and accepting Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and he died for your sins. That's what God goes by. And we put God first. He said, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. So he's directing our path, and we're being obedient when we're on here. And we don't go to the left or to the right. We focus on God, everything we say and everything we do. So, but we are going to come back on. But we know right now they're not YouTube is not going to send the people when it goes down like this because it looked like we had came off because our internet went down. So
I mean, I see what you're saying, Maureen, man. Thank you for saying bless our heart, for trying to help. But like Joe Biden had Day of Visibility on Easter. So
Day of Visibility on Resurrection Sunday. That was
disrespectful.
That was so disrespectful. It don't get any worse than that. Like our Lord and Savior died for our sins. He gonna try this behind out there on talking about Day of Visibility for transgenders. Not on my daddy's day. No, that don't work for me. Anyway, you guys, thank you, the Boo Key. I hope you send us information so we could bring you on here. And we are going to come back on, you guys. But like I said, once we lost connection with the majority of the people that was on here. And with the stuff that we want to talk about, we want a wider audience in this. So anyway, thanks, you guys. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, and look for the notification because we're going to come back on. So peace out, take care, and God bless.